Okay, everyone, welcome to our WordPress crash course with an emphasis on crash because we're gonna go through a lot of stuff, but never in depth. So you definitely will like need the slides to go back when you're stuck. But I'm gonna stick to the script. I care a lot about this topic, and materials for each time are always pretty new. So I'm gonna stick a lot to my script here. But basically, today's agenda is that we're going to be going through a presentation about everything you need to know about website making, which we'll do with WordPress. And the slides are on our website and in this Facebook group that we'll have a QR code for later as well. It will be streamed and then put as a recording on YouTube so you can look back at it. And then we'll open for some questions, and then we'll do some pizza, and then I'll give you a test site where we'll make your first website together. Let's see what I wrote in my script here. So as an association, sharing our knowledge about website making and then sharing our website making tools is an important way that we empower students. And after this presentation, we're going to talk a little bit more about ourselves, which will maybe give you some context and show you some opportunities in our association. But the main event is learning you guys how to make websites. We're joined here today by our sponsor, GDPR and data privacy consultant, Erik Horn, which is at the back here, which we're glad to have here. And he will talk a little bit about his practice later and what you need to be attentionate about, what you need to think about when you're making a website, because you're now entering the World Wide Web, and you need to think about data privacy. And then these slides are shared, and we're several volunteers here, me, Silja, Kyrre, and we welcome all feedback, and you can even comment on the slides if you go and look at them later, so we can improve our courses. Everything you need to know about website making with WordPress includes this will, are we good? I think so. I'm pressing next. So motivation, the need for this course, what WordPress is, WordPress as a content management system, as a website builder, themes and extensions, data privacy, basically everything. So buckle up. But first, the motivation. There we are. There are different reasons for wanting to create a website. Some common reasons are wanting to start a blog, which is what WordPress was first made for, which is why all of your standard templates will be blogs. And you can want to make an online store, like my granddad did to sell his wooden bowls. Or you can have a page for your business or association, like Helga Hele Uka did, which is a festival at the Faculty of Education at UIO, at UV. Or you can just have a personal web page where you link to your LinkedIn and stuff, and then think about what more you want to do with it later, because all of these goals can be combined. And the key thing is becoming accessible to others when they do Google searches and being online. Now, why do I need to do a WordPress crash course? Why can't you just go online? And it's there we are. There's two answers to that question. The first answer is that to learn everything you need to know, you might stumble over an 8-hour video that goes too in depth, or you might stumble over a 30-minute video that doesn't mention everything, someone on YouTube might use a plugin or a theme as like an essential part of the way they want to teach you WordPress, which robs you of learning WordPress the right way and being able to adapt to different plugins and different types of stuff. But the most important one is like new features, because already just 2 months old videos or a year old videos quickly get outdated. And let's see what I wanted to say here. New features might change how something looks or how you would go best about making your website. And then something really important happened here in January, which took your editing experience from this to this. So it took you from being able to customize different sections and like contained parts of your website to being able to edit your whole website. And this just happened in January. Let's see. And this feature is now out of beta and looks really good. But it being developed so quickly and still being so useful means there's going to be key differences. So notice already this new release came out yesterday, which is why this hasn't been prepared as much as it could be. But notice how we're already missing this is not working here. Are you pressing as well? Yeah, notice how this today now looks like this, but 2 days ago it looked like this. So if you're watching a tutorial, you might be like, what the fuck is going on? So we'll go through it together today and you'll get a fresh course. And it wasn't until this new feature came out in January. It wasn't until November you could find the themes that are using these new features. And if you don't know that these new features are a thing, you might use themes that don't have these new features, and you might be shooting yourself in the knee, or whatever it's called in that idiom is called in English. So that's why I'm here to help you. WordPress is a web publishing tool, meaning it allows you to create and manage websites. It's open source, free to use almost however you want, and lots of people around the world are contributing to it, which is why it powers over 40% of all of websites on the internet as of 2022. Now, WordPress is actually pretty easy to learn on its own, and you'll get lots of done stuff with like just some courage and patience, but you'll get stuck trying to figure stuff out for the first time. So this course is gonna make you be able to unstuck yourself, and we're gonna do that by explaining how everything works together. And there are good slides here, like this one. Thank you, Kira. I like to think of WordPress as having two parts. First part to WordPress is that it's a content management system, because as soon as you go out on the World Wide Web and you try to put your websites out there, you get a lot of content and you have to manage it, and it becomes a mess easily, as you'll experience later today. And you'll have content like your comments, your users, like your actual website stuff. I'm going off script again. So for WordPress to be good, it needs to help you manage this content. I'm going to go through the most important types of content that I've drawn a circle around here. You don't need to fully understand the differences, but you need to know that there are differences, because then you'll get unstuck. You have your post types, which are your content, like the content on your homepage. And those can have taxonomies and attributes. Why is that important? Well, the main key difference you need to know is that WordPress has two types of content. So if you're making a page and you wonder why you can't add a keyword or a category and like can't add it to your blog, that's because you're doing a page. Or if you're doing a post and you can't give it a hierarchy or it looks different, that's because it is a post. So there are these two key differences here between posts and pages, and then knowing that the way your posts and pages look is different. Why is that not showing? Are you pressing as well? Stop pressing. There we are. This works so much better when I can move quickly.
You aren't pressing at all.
It's on. Oh, it's not on. Oh my fucking god.
I've been doing all the pressing.
That's why.
Yeah.
Okay, here we are. Now it's working. Yeah. So WordPress manages content. You have lots of content. Know that you have taxonomies, attributes, post types, and templates. They are split into two, with pages having hierarchy, posts having categories, and not the other way around, and pages having their own template, and posts having their own template. Which means that when you want to use WordPress as a website builder, there's a difference between what we call editing your site and editing your content. Which means that when you're editing your site, you're editing these parts, and when you're editing your content, you're editing these parts. And it will try to tell you when you're doing different stuff. It will say edit post, edit page, or just edit. Or when you're editing these templates, it will say edit site, or do the full site editing editor. And you'll be able to manage all of these types of content, but if you don't know that they're different and they're working together, then you'll get stuck. And then each post, page, or template is made out of blocks, which is an easy way to teach you how to, like a paragraph block is based on a paragraph element in HTML. So it's basically abstracting what's happening in the code and telling you just to build your website like Legos. So each post, page, or template now is made out of blocks. And you get blocks within blocks within blocks. So you get it gets really messy really quickly, even though they're trying to make it as simple as possible. So when you're getting stuck and you find that there are blocks within blocks within blocks, you just go straight for this icon here, which I'm going to help you with later. Go straight for the list view, which shows you how everything is structured. And then when you're thinking about plugins, themes, stuff that extends your functionality and makes your site look a certain way, then the way themes work when they make your site look different is they modify these guys. They modify templates, and they add some global styles. And your themes, they don't touch these guys. And themes may also add some functionality, but when you're looking to add functionality to your site, you're looking for plugins. So you're going to be thinking a lot of the time, you're thinking a lot of the time, what am I editing? How does this connect? What the fuck is happening? There are so many blocks. And then you're also going to be thinking, do I need a theme, or do I need a plugin to do this new thing that I want to do? So if you want to change how your site looks completely, you need a theme. And if you want to add some functionality, like maybe there's a block you don't have, you do a plugin. Finding good themes has become easy now because if you go to the block themes tab when you're finding themes, which we'll do together later, you'll find all of these new themes that are much easier to use. But if you don't go in this tab, you'll find old themes that use the old way of editing sites. And finding good plugins can be hard. And I have something that I really want to say about this point. Let's see. Because this is something that you will always, okay, let me not skip the script here. What plugins are good will depend on your use case. So finding good plugins there. And you'll constantly find yourself in the struggle between, do I want to pay for a plugin or do I want to get a free plugin? I'll first talk through what plugins that you can get through our association that we're paying for and sharing with our members. We found Fathom Analytics really useful because it allows us to track statistics on our website without requiring consent, which Google Analytics does. And And we found Smash Balloon useful because it lets us embed Facebook and Instagram on our pages really easily without knowing how to code and without taking their trackers with us like you're using Facebook, also requiring consent the same way Facebook requires consent when you're using Facebook. And then we found this plugin useful to exporting and importing our sites. And then we found this plugin useful to have file sharing on our site without having to learn and manage how our sites are stored on our website. We have them in Google Drive and we embed them. And these are all paid. And you'll constantly find yourself in a struggle between, do I want to pay for a plugin or do I want to spend a lot of time using this free plugin? Especially good ones require some sort of payment. So that's a struggle. And then a lot of plugins, when you buy them, you can activate your license maybe an unlimited amount of times, or there's like a paid tier made for website making agencies, which means that if you're making your own personal website or like a website for an association and you want to buy a plugin, it makes sense to join us or team up with another association and buy it together, which is really good for us. With that, we'll open for some questions right after this. You're entering the World Wide Web. You need to think about GDPR and data privacy. So I would like to welcome up Erik Horn.
Does that come with an instructions?
Yeah, there's arrows.
Back and forth?
Yes.
Slow will do. So, just out of curiosity, anyone here making web pages for business purpose or just for hobby? I have no idea. Let's go with we have no idea. GDPR.
Me for business.
Good. Because the point with GDPR, it is it's legislation that goes for associations and businesses, not for private individuals. So that's just a backdrop of it.
What is the GDPR?
General Data Protection Regulation, EU directive that tells businesses and organizations what they have to live up to when they treat personal data. Personal data, every data directly or indirectly can identify you as a person. And I work daily in Gap Solutions. We have a solution for privacy and for helping businesses maintaining and organizing their GDPR. That was the commercial part. Now I'm going to try slowly.
Boom.
I borrowed something from the Norwegian Data Protection Agency, and you know, I translated it a bit because this is in English. And basically, it says that all companies, organizations, must have a full overview of how they process personal data, and more on that. That is before they start using it, and they're responsible for documenting it. So if you run a business and you want to pay your employees, then you have to, describe the processes and the data that you're going to have to process related to payroll, and you're going to do all of that before you start paying out the first payroll, and you have to document it. That's sort of the challenge. And if you started the business, started paying people, and have not done this, then you're a delinquent. So that's sort of the backdrop.
Start your hobby store maybe, or start taking payments, collecting emails and sending out emails, and you haven't described this sort of thing, then you've started off on the wrong foot, on the wrong way.
Yeah. And maybe some of the plugins that you saw earlier, collecting data on visitors on your website. And that leads to this next slide, because this is not an in-depth on GDPR, but this is sort of important stuff that you should think of when you create your web page. That is that the data that you collect, you're responsible for sharing. When you share it, or if you share it, you're responsible. And it's not an excuse to say I didn't know. So the risk is if you use plugins and you have no clue what they do, they might end up sending stuff to some other places in this world. Now, put in some links here. Some of these web pages you can go in and then you can put in your web address that you're curious about, and you will get some results on where they're going. So this is VG, probably one of the most read newspapers on the Norwegian web. And as you can see, if you go there on this Norwegian website, it goes to all of these, in turn gets to all of these, in turn all of these. And then the question is, of course, how many of these places does it end up? Now, the Norwegian Data Protection Agency, the largest fine or sanction that they've done so far is to the dating app Grindr or Grinder, or that was like 65 million Norwegian kroner. And the reason for that is because they take the data of their users and they send it out on the back door, and to a population that it looks somewhat similar to this. So there are thousands and thousands of places they can then bid on pushing commercials back again, and just by association with Grindr, you can probably start to deduct not only who you are, but sexual orientation and a few other sensitive data according to GDPR. Therefore, 65 million was the sanction. Now it's not been accepted yet, and it's not been paid yet, but it's a starting point. So just beware when program your own web pages. Test them with some of these to see if they leak like this. If they do, talk to an IT techie person. Maybe there's a person around here. Maybe there's even a PhD or someone that's really in-depth knowledgeable about how this thing works. Get it fixed. There will be questions and answers later, right?
Press the next one. Thank you. Questions?
You answered all the questions.
Yeah, I did.
Otherwise, you can talk with pizza.
Questions for the both of us?
Thank you.
Thank you.